Hello and welcome to the third video in our Getting Started with OAKS series. In this video, we will explore the Grades tool. The OAKS Gradebook is the second most important tool in OAKS. The Grades tool allows students to keep up with their individual grades, see what assessments they're missing, and, if you choose, even see their total grade up to that point. The Grades tool also allows you to submit your midterm and final grades directly from OAKS to Banner and saves you the time and trouble of re-entering them manually. The gradebook is fully customizable and meet most faculty's needs. As we go through the setup, I'll explain the ways you can use this tool. Let's begin in the class that we've been working in, and in our upper navigation we're going to choose Grades and Grades. Now if yours doesn't come up to this screen automatically, make sure to click on the Setup wizard from your secondary navigation. This wizard is really important to get you started on the right foot. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and choose Start. Now what I'm going to give you today in this quick start are the recommended settings. You can change these at any time, and if they don't meet your needs, please contact your instructional technologist. The first thing we need to choose is our grading system, and this is probably the most important decision we'll make. A weighted gradebook uses weights, just like it says. So I know I want all of my assignments to be worth 20 points. I want my quizzes to be worth 40, and I want my writing assignments to be worth 30, etc. And within each of those categories, I can have as many or as few assignments as I want. The weighted gradebook is great for people who prefer to have every assignment worth 100 points and who are not 100% sure how many assignments or quizzes or whatever might be in one of these categories. The points-based system is a much easier system to use and set up. In this instance, you have a category, but the points really don't matter for that category, not like they did up here. In this instance, each item is what each assignment is what is going to drive the total points for the gradebook. In this case, they're each worth 20 points, so my gradebook is worth 40, and my final exam is worth 200 points, leaving us with 240 points total. So pay attention to these two examples because they really will help you define how you want to do this. I'm going to choose the weighted for this particular example, but you can choose either one you want. Now, if neither of these meet your needs and you think, I'm going to choose the formula-based gradebook, my advice is to not choose the formula-based gradebook, but instead stop this video and contact your instructional technologist. After I've chosen my grade system, I'll hit Continue. I'm going to recommend that you choose Calculated Final Grade. This allows OAKS to continue to keep calculating the grade and showing you the most up-to-date grade for that student. This bottom checkbox will determine if you would like your students to see that calculated grade or if you don't want to show them that and want them to calculate it themselves. If you turn it on, then they will be able to see it. And if you turn it off, they will not be able to see the final grade. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to click Continue. I'm going to recommend that you choose Drop Ungraded Items. The Drop Ungraded Items means that if there is not a grade, then it doesn't count against the student. This means that if a student doesn't turn something in, you must put a 0 in that grade item before it counts against them. So leave this as the default and hit Continue. When you come to the default grade scheme, I'm going to recommend you again stay with the default, which is percentage, scroll to the bottom, and click Continue. Here's where you'll determine how many decimal places you would like your grade to calculate. 0, 1, 2, up to you. Normally the default is 2, but I'm going to set it to 0 and hit Continue. The next screen is what your students will see when they view the gradebook. And I've just checked everything, and I'm also going to make sure that my decimal places match what I set earlier. And again, I'll click Continue. Now this shows me everything I've done so far, so I'm going to click Finish. And you're brought to this grade creation screen. Now I'm going to skip this, and the reason I'm skipping it is because this is the one and only time you will ever see this screen. So I think it's better if you learn how to do it from the normal way instead of this way. I'm going to go to Manage Grades up here in my secondary navigation, and this is where I'm going to create what I want. If you are using a weighted gradebook, you're going to see this message here at the top. The weighted gradebook will always let you know when it's unhappy or when you've done something wrong. Points-based gradebooks, you won't see this, and that's because you really can't do anything wrong in a points-based gradebook. The points are what the points are, and it's fine with that. To get started, we need to look at the blue New button. Remember, in OAKS, if you're unsure what to do, always look for the blue button or a drop-down arrow. And here we have item and category. So let's talk a little bit about what a category is. Categories can be used for multiple things. One, organization. I like to have all my quizzes together, I like to have all my writing assignments together, etc. But in the gradebook, it can do more. Let's talk about a weighted gradebook first. A weighted gradebook is where you would set the overall weight for that category. So for instance, in my syllabus, I've said assignments are worth 40%, so I want to make a category called assignments and make it worth 40% as the weight. I also can use this in both a points-based and a weighted-based gradebook to drop the lowest grades. Grade or grades, so I can drop the lowest 1, 2, 3, etc. In a points-based gradebook, you would only use a category to drop the lowest grade or to organize your gradebook. It is important to note that you don't have to have a category. Categories are optional. So for the sake of this, I'm going to type in my category as assignments. And you don't have to give it a short name. You can leave that blank and you can leave the description blank. But as you scroll down, when you get to your grading, this is important. So this category is not an assignment, it is all assignment. And all of my assignments combined will be worth 40% of the total grade. Now when I come down to distribution, this is also important. Distribution in a weighted gradebook says, depending upon how many items are in there, I will weight them all manually. So if I have 5 items in there, I can make one assignment worth 10% of that 40. I can make another assignment worth 30% of that 40, etc. So I manually decide. That is not the most efficient way. I would recommend one of these other two methods. The first one says, based on the number of points I've given this assignment, how much should it be weighted? So if assignment 1 is worth 20 points, but assignment 2 is worth 100 points, then it will distribute the weight based on the percentage of those points. This last one is what most people use, and it says that I want all of my assignments, no matter how many I give them, to be weighted the same thing. All quizzes will be weighted 10% of this 40%, and I'm going to give 10 quizzes. It will take care of doing the weight for you. You don't have to worry about that. You just type in the number of points that you want, and it's going to base that weight on the number of assignments or quizzes or whatever items that are inside that category. All right, so that's for a weighted. Now again, for a points-based, it looks exactly the same, except you will not have this weight area right here. You'll come down and you will say distribute the weight evenly across all items, and in this case, you'll tell it how many points each of those will have. Now in both the points and the weighted, this is how you'll drop the lowest number of items from each category. If this were a quizzes and I might want to drop the lowest 2, I would type in the number 2 here. In this case, I don't want to drop any, so I'm going to leave them all just how they are. I'm going to ignore the rest of this, and I'm going to say save and close. And now I have my assignments. You can repeat this process for all of the other categories that you need. The next thing we have is an item. So when you're looking at these two things, we've discussed what a category is. An item is the actual gradable item. Categories themselves cannot have a grade attached to them. So I cannot say that they got a 40 on assignments. I can only say they got a 40 on this item. All right, so the item is the actual gradable entity. So now I'm going to choose to make some items. I'm going to make some assignments. When you get to this point, you almost always want to choose numeric. Numeric is most commonly used. So here I'll choose assignment 1. I'll ignore the short name, but I do want to put it in a category. And I'm going to put it in this category here. And as I scroll down, you'll see that I can say however many points it is. I'm just going to make it 100 points, but I can't change the weight. The reason I can't change the weight is because I put it in a category. That category is controlling my weight. Right now, I've told it to distribute the weight evenly. Since I only have one item in that category, it will be worth 100%. My next options are, can they exceed this? Can they get more than 100 points? And if they can, do I want them to get credit for it? If so, I'm going to check that box. The next one is bonus. Bonus means this entire assignment, not a question on an assignment, but the entire assignment is an extra credit assignment, meaning that doing the assignment can only help the user, not hurt them. If I want that, I check that box. And everything else is the default. So really all I've done is give it a name. In this instance, I gave it a category and a maximum amount of points. And we'll do save and close. And now you can see that inside my assignments, I have one more assignment. Now I'm going to create another one here just to show you how this weight changes. For you points-based folks, this will not matter. You just keep on making your assignments as is. So again, I'll go to Item, Numeric, Assignment 2, scroll down. Whoops, forgot to give it a category. You want to know how I knew? Because the weight is not grayed out. I'm going to put it in my assignment category. And I'm also going to give this 80 points and save and close. And so what you see here is regardless of the maximum amount of points a student can get, these will both be weighted the same, all right? They'll both weight the same towards this 40%. Up here you can see that OAKS is unhappy because my full gradebook only equals a weight of 40% and not 100. So it's going to keep yelling at me until I get all my categories in there. All right, now earlier I told you that you did not have to have a category for everything. If your assignment is just a straight out assignment, in this case, your final exam is worth 200 points, or your final exam is worth 60% of your grade, I'm going to show you how to do that. And so here we'll again just create an item. We don't need to have a category when there's only one item. Again, I'll call this one Final Exam. I'm not going to put a category, and yet I'm going to skip down here, give it a maximum amount of points, and I'm going to put the weight that I said it was worth in my syllabus. In this case, it's worth 60%. They cannot exceed that. It is not an extra credit assignment, so I will hit Save and Close. And now you'll see that this is not inside, but it is tallying over here, and you can see at the top that my message is now gone because my gradebook, 40 plus 60 equals 100. My gradebook has balanced out. Again, if this were a points-based gradebook, you would just see 280 points. You would not see the weight column. All right, now it's time to enter those grades. And to do that, we're going to go to Enter Grades. And under Assignment 1, I'm going to choose the drop-down menu. And I am going to choose Enter Grades. And here I can go down and I can give it the point value that was earned. And when I'm finished, I can choose Save and Close. All right. You will see that this student has 90% on the class, even though they haven't completed everything, and that's okay. If a student doesn't turn in this assignment, then I need to make sure to go to Enter Grades, give that student a 0, save and close, and now you'll see that their grade is dropped to a 45. Also on this screen, you will notice that under my final calculated grades, I see a small eyeball icon, and when I mouse over it, that informs me that this 45%, the final grade, is released to the student view. While I know this was an incredibly quick overview, it is just that, an overview. Faculty grading systems can be very customized and personal, so it's difficult to do a tutorial that covers all the possible scenarios that you may encounter when setting up your gradebook. This is just to get you started. Please remember that if you have any questions or run into any problems at all, to contact your instructional technologist in TLT.